and welcome to Tea Talk, where the topics are real, relevant, and relaxing. It's Tea Talk time, and here's Lady O.
All right. Thanks, Sister Tracy. And I'm hoping that you're feeling better there. So you got your warm tea. But listen, welcome to Tea Talk. I'm Lady O, and I'm so happy to be your host today. I have a wonderful team, and we are going to talk about Mother's Day. Hey, it's coming up. So we need to be talking about it so we can get prepared and make sure that we give our mothers the best Mother's Day ever. It comes once a year. So we definitely want to make sure that we are ready for it, that we don't look up and somebody say, did you know today was Mother's Day? And you have a plan. You want to let your mother know, I got some plans. So we have some plans for you. So what we're going to do, the way the show is going to go today is we're going to start off by introducing our moms and honoring her on this show today. But we're going to also talk about mothering. What did our mothers do well? Give some nuggets to these young mothers. As a grandmother, what did my grandmother, how does she impact me? So we're going to share some nuggets, share some fun ideas of things that you can do. And at the end, we want to make sure we leave here with some ideas for mothers themselves to be a better mother, and mostly for children to be better children and honoring their mothers. We're going to also talk about discipline. This is a big subject. I saw my daughter-in-law had this on her website the other day about how did your mother discipline? How do you discipline? Because the Bible says to train up a child in the way he should go. And part of that training is what? Discipline. And I know from what I can see, we don't really know what to do with discipline today. In the classrooms, you can't discipline. In the churches, you can't discipline them. So what does it mean? Because as I look at what's going on in the world today, I think part of that problem is because some of our children were not disciplined to know how to honor, respect their teachers, respect one another. And that comes from in the home. Now, a lot of stuff you can do it all in the home, but they're exposed to so much on the internet, so much on the TV, and so it's hard to be able to train your child up as a mother. So we're going to talk about all those kind of things today. So get somebody else on the phone, get some of these mothers on the phone, get some grandmothers on the phone, because we're going to learn from each other today. And so we need you to put in the chat room some things about your mother, put her name in the atmosphere. Tell us what's so great about your mom throughout the show, and ask your questions. If you are a mother or grandmother and you have a question about mothering, we want you to put that in the chat. So let me go ahead and get started because we got a lot to talk about. So go ahead and share and go ahead and invite a friend and get this out there, because do you know that mothers rule the world? We are the ones that God has partnered with us, or we partner with him, or chose us to be the partners to create, to be able to replenish the world. Everybody in this world has come from a mother. So we are special. And even if you don't have biological children, you still are called to mother, whether they're your nieces, nephews, the neighbors' kids, or the church kids. God put something within us as women to be able to help create the world where he would be glorified, and where people could learn about love, the love of a mother, and loving one another, respecting one another. So we have a job on us mothers and grandmothers too, right? And we know our mothers have given us so much love and so many things when we were little. And we need to make sure that we are, some of the things, I will say this about my mother, some of the things I need to keep, and some of them I'm like, I'm not doing that. Nobody's perfect, right? So some things that your mothers did were good, and some of the things they just didn't know any better. They did what they were taught to do, or that they caught, or they just kind of felt like this is all I can do. So whatever it is, we know they did their best. So we love and honor them for that, and we forgive the rest, forget the rest, and do better. See if you can do better, because a lot of times people talk about parents, but really and truly, you can't do any better. Wait till you get your own kids. And we're going to even honor, as we talk about, a lot of us on here are grandparents. So we're going to have some input from grandparents. We have some single parents on who are going to talk to us about what is it like to be a mother in these days as a single mother, or at some point becoming a single mother. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let me introduce my mother first, and then we're going to go and we're going to hear about everybody's mother in here. So you will know my team. I think they all came from wonderful mothers because they're such wonderful people. So I want to honor them as well. So let's look at my mother first. My mother is Leela Mae, and she is a that was not mine. That's Jennifer. There she is. Okay, that's my mother on my wedding day. And she baked the cake and it was beautiful. And back in that day, we made our dresses for weddings and so forth. So my mother was really kind of like a jack of all trade. The other picture next to her was a picture that she took, but I put it with the yellow roses because she's from Tyler, and she's my yellow rose of friendship. And so mothers, my mother was a great friend to me, and we're going to talk about friendship too. How do you be friends with your children and still raise them? But I would say the points that I want to tell you about my mom was had me when she was like a junior or senior in high school. And so she had to drop out, but she has that strong tenacity that she went back, got her GED, and became a nurse and owned her own home. And we had everything we needed. So she went from working what we used to call back in the days, working in the white woman's kitchen, raising her kids. That's what she did when I was little. And they were friends. But I think that's the main thing I know about my mother, that she raised me up to be a leader. She raised me up to get my education and do better. I think that would be the main thing. I said she was always doing better. So she got her GED, then she wanted to do better. She wanted to got her college education. She wanted to do better, became a nurse, get a house, get out of the project. So I think that's the main thing that I got from her. And so we want to talk about the things that I got that she was married 4 times. So that's one of the things I did not want to do. I wanted to learn how to get a good husband and learn how to stay with him. And she always picked out these bad men, but she knew how to kick them to the curb real fast. As she got them, she kicked them to the curb. So I introduced to you and honor my mother today for making me who I am and loving me and providing for me, Miss Leela Mae. So give her a hand clap. And I want to move to Tracy next, because one of the things that we talked about before, Tracy, was you said your mother was your best friend. So why don't you introduce your mother and tell us, how was she a best friend and she still was able to raise you properly?
Well, my mom is Jennifer Prelo. We call her the original J Lo. She was J Lo before the other J Lo. So
Okay.
very, very godly woman, very kind, and she was all about family. I mean, if it had something to do with family, she had her hands all over it. She would just cook just to get family together. That's what she did.
Yeah. How you got them together?
She got them together because when we heard those pots rattling, we started making phone calls.
Get over here. She's cooking.
She's cooking, and taught all her kids how to cook, including my brother. So she was serious about us knowing how to take care of ourselves.
Let me ask you a question before you move forward, because I have this thing that I said about mothers cooking. I think that the kids came to the house a lot of times because of the cooking, not because they wanted to just come to the house. Because I said we stopped going to grandmother's house or Mima's house or whatever because she didn't cook anymore. Do you think the cooking, like you just said, was one of the reasons why people it pulled the family together?
She knew that if I pull those, because we loved her cooking. She was, she was a very petite woman. She didn't really eat much, but she loved food and she loved family and she loved to eat.
Good.
And she knew the magic trick. And, she's from Louisiana, so she knew the magic trick to get all of her kids together and everybody else was to put a meal together. And that was funny because that was one of the things my husband loved so much about her is like when she knew she was cooking, he was ready.
I know I've heard your husband talk about her cooking.
Oh, yeah,
sweet potato pies and everything.
Oh yeah, she knew how to make it happen. I mean, the gumbo and everything else. And the thing I loved about my mother was I would look in the kitchen and I wouldn't really see much. I'm like, I wonder what she's gonna cook. She could take nothing and make something. I don't know how they did that. I really don't. And I think we're just spoiled because I'll go look at my refrigerator and I'm ready to order groceries.
Come on. That's
Yeah,
right.
so they made a dollar out of 15 cents. They really did.
Yeah. They didn't have any choice. They had to know how to put it together, make it taste good, and satisfy their family. So we
Mhm.
got so many choices and we got more money. They didn't have the money. So I think if we didn't have it, we'd be doing the same thing.
Right, right. Very, very good steward of her money. But
Yeah.
the
Now
other
tell me
thing,
about the saying that you talked about, the friendship. I want to make sure you don't forget
yeah,
that she
my
told you. What did she talk about being her best friend and
my
uh
mother was my you talk about a ride or die best friend, and losing her was, they say you get through it, you don't ever get over it, and that's
yeah,
real because
that's true.
I have my days. Mom told me this, and it's just it stuck with me. She said, "While you're here, I'm mom. I'm your mama. I'll be your friend when you leave my house."
Ooh, I love it.
And she was right on point because when I left, I appreciated her more. I was like, "This woman was right." She was right. She was right about the world and how the world is different from home,
Well,
and she
I think
shielded us from a lot of stuff.
that's saying that you said, I want to stay there for a minute because I know one of the things that I see a lot with parents younger than me, the generation before me, and even the generations coming up. A lot of them want to be their child's best friend. And she told you at home, while you're under my house, I'm your mother. When
Right,
you leave my house, I can be your friend. What
right. We can
do
be
you
the
think
best
she
of
meant by
buddies.
that?
She well, the thing is, I knew, I just knew there at home. There's some lines you just wasn't gonna cross because that's
Mhm,
mama.
mhm.
And now this new generation, I see women doing things with their kids. I'm thinking, why would you be comfortable doing that with your children or vice versa? Um,
Exactly.
but we just knew we had a level of reverence and respect for her that we knew, and even after we left, we still knew that there's certain things you didn't do.
Yeah.
You yes,
She's friendlier with you and
it's
y'all can
friendly.
have fun times together, but there's still a line that
Yeah,
says that's drawn when it comes to being a bestie friend
right. You still
and
said
being
yes, ma'am, and
mom.
no, ma'am, and you didn't say huh. No, all
Huh?
stuff I hear now, and
Oh,
it didn't
what?
matter
What you
how
want?
old. It didn't matter how old you were. You still gave that respect and that reverence. And
Well, good, good, good. All right. Well, say your mom's name again.
Jennifer Prelo,
All right, Miss Jennifer Prelo,
yes,
Miss J
yes,
Lo.
J Lo, the original J Lo.
Well, good, good, good. So I know you've got to go too. So you think that the main thing that she gave to you as a mother is to learn how to keep family together,
I think her big thing was she was all about legacy, and she said
legacy.
you're living your legacy, and your kids are you want to leave them something to remember, just like I'm remembering things about her.
Hmm.
Those important nuggets that she put in me. I mean, education was drilled; it was not an option. You're gonna finish. You're gonna go to college. You're gonna be the best person
Right.
you can be, and she did that out of love.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought at the time, that goes back to living in her house and leaving her house. I thought she was just being controlling. She
Hmm.
would tell me I'm gonna go, but when I left her house, I understood why she wanted me to get the degrees and the education and be able to take care of myself. The beauty of it right now is I'm married because I want to be married, not because I have to be married.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
I'm with my husband because I love him and I want to be. And I know people that are with somebody because they feel like they have to be.
Well, back in the day, that's the way it was. When women didn't have education, they didn't have jobs, they didn't have money, and the law was such that you really couldn't divorce your husband.
Hmm.
You were property. So we've come a long way, ladies. I've watched several little episodes here recently because of Women's Month was in March and so forth, and they were saying how women just were piece of property, just like the cattle.
Right.
So we thank the Lord. Hallelujah. I'm
Yes,
free.
we've made a lot of progress. Yes, we
We
have.
got our education and so forth. So that would be something too that I
Mhm.
think that our young ladies who are not mothers need to know, that you need to get your education so you can be able to have some freedoms to be to and in a marriage because you want to be there and not because you have to for him
Right.
to take care of the kids. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go to I think
Thank
who's
you.
next on pull the picture up. I think is it Flair? Who's next? Whose mother's next? Pull her that mother up and we'll see who it is. That's me. We're going backwards, so go forward. Okay. All right, Miss Emma Clark. All right. Whose mother is that? Is that
Come on, mom.
Claire? Ah,
Yes, yes,
Claire's
yes.
mom. She's so pretty.
Thank you, thank you. Just like me, huh? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can see the resemblance. So I was looking a little close. I can see the resemblance. You do. So
Yeah, that's my mom, Emma Clark. Everybody knew her as grandmother. She was
okay.
grandmother to the world.
Okay.
Beautiful person. As Tracy said, our house was the house everybody went to.
Hmm.
She believed in family, and she did whatever she had to do to keep her family together. And she wanted everybody around. She wanted us around. And I stayed around so long, they didn't think I was going to be leaving. I left home because I wanted to stay there with her.
You were having a good time. It was a good
Yes,
home to be in,
best
huh?
time. Yes, I was having the best time. She was stern. You knew when she meant something,
Hmm.
but she was the sweetest person that you can be around.
Wow.
She just, everybody just, like, as I said, everybody knew her as grandmother. She had more grandchildren than the law could allow.
Wow. How many grandchildren does she have? Just
Her own,
everybody?
her own grandchildren, she has, I think, maybe six of us and seven of us.
Oh, you mean in the whole where she just took
Everybody else, she had
everybody on?
neighbors' children,
Okay.
everybody. She was grandmother. That's just the way she was,
Wow.
and she was stern with us, but you knew she loved you.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
that's really the way I remember motherhood back in the day when you said grandmother. At a certain age, people, when you became a grandmother at that age, people just respected you and you could
mhm,
discipline them or tell them something. But nowadays, do you find that you just can't tell people anything, the children, or
no,
even
no, nobody is.
so she was doing the training and the parenting according to what God wanted her to do, not just her
Mhm.
own children, but to
Right,
everybody. And
everybody.
part of training is love.
Yeah,
So how did you know she loved you, and how did you know
because
that
she
she
gave
wanted
you anything,
to? Hmm.
anything you asked for, she gave it to you.
Wow.
If she had it, it was yours.
Mm. Do you think that's a good thing now? Because I'm reflecting on some things. Do you think it was good that they gave? Because I think my mom, she wanted to give me everything because she didn't have anything, and so she would dream of when my kids get grown, I'm gonna give them everything the best because she had to, wear hand me downs and buy stuff what we would call now from the dollar store, pay less shoes and those kind of things. Do you think that's a good thing for us to give our kids everything they want? I think I lost you. It's Flair.
Oh,
There
there.
she is.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about that as a part of the training and love that parents and grandparents do?
I think she and I kind of got that from her. I'm going to give you whatever you want, but you have to show me too that you're going to respect me, you're going to appreciate it,
Mhm.
and you're not just going to take me for granted.
Okay. Okay.
And
So there
that's
was a
the
limit
way
that
she
you didn't get
was.
everything
Yeah,
you
you
wanted.
just she gave it to you, but you had some boundaries.
Okay.
You had boundaries. You talk to anybody right now, they tell you, Auntie Yama, or grandmother, yeah, man, yeah, you better listen to her. But she gave you everything. She gave you everything.
Okay.
And
Well, good.
um,
Tell me about her life. What do you remember about her growing up as a mother? And then tell us about this picture after you get through doing that, because I definitely want to hear about this picture to the right.
my mom was a beautician,
Okay.
and we grew up with people in our house at 5 o'clock in the morning
Ooh,
until 10
she
at
was a
night.
businesswoman, huh?
Yes, and my dad was a postman, so he was gone.
Okay. He's making
And
that
we had
making big
people,
money.
yeah, we had people in the house all day long. And
Wow.
sometimes they would just come there and sit, they get their hair finished and they would sit there and talk. And she said, okay, I got somebody else coming, got somebody else coming. But
Now
that's
tell
what
us
they
about that
wanted.
hair, because you making me go back. What is she doing to that hair?
She did the what you call those thing, finger waves or whatever you call that
Giveaways?
stuff. Yeah, and she did the pressing,
Mhm.
the little curls and everything. That's the kind of stuff she did. That long, long time ago stuff.
I love it. I love it because,
Mhm,
really growing up, we didn't go to beauty shops and
mhm,
things like that. If we did, it was in somebody's home.
mhm.
And so that was really great. My mother would put me at the kitchen the stove, same stove we cook on Sunday
Yep,
morning,
that's right.
and put those pullers and iron combs in there, and here we go frying that hair. Anybody
That's
else know
right.
anything about frying hair?
And then you wipe it down and cook your dinner after. So
And that on the same stove with the grease can there and all.
that's right. But I remember that, and I just remember people being at the house. And the picture there, my mom was more of the talker.
Okay.
My dad was quiet.
Uh-huh.
And he pretty much just said, okay, Emma, whatever. You know,
Whatever.
yeah, whatever makes you happy. And that right there, that was I think it's 98. And a year or two before that, she schooled us. My 50th is coming up. I stayed all this time and I need to have a wedding. So we did it. We had the bridesmaids, we had the flower girl, the ring boy. She had it at the church. They had a limousine. They rode around in a limousine. She had it
Oh,
all for her 50th.
oh
She
my.
had it all. And I'm glad we did that because like a year or so later is when she took sick and then, she passed after that. But
Wow.
yeah, she loved to do it up. She loved partying and stuff.
Yeah.
And
So
he knew that.
how did she get you guys to do that? Where do you think there was some kind of training that she kind of instilled in you all,
Yes. Yeah.
that made y'all want to do this? Because you didn't have to do it. Y'all did
No,
everything, the planning, and
we did
did
everything.
y'all
Mhm.
spend money on it as well?
Yeah, yeah. Us, the
Wow.
children, and my dad. Yeah, and we did it because of who she was.
Yeah.
Um,
She
and kind
deserved
of
it.
because of what she said. You just knew.
Yeah.
Amber said this is what she wanted, so that's what we did.
Mm.
But she always made you feel so special. You wanted to make her feel good
Wow. Wow.
because she helped raise all our kids. We went to school, we went to work, she babysat and everything. So she deserved it. She really did deserve that.
Yeah. Well, staying with
Mhm.
somebody for 50 years, you do deserve it.
Yeah,
You really do. Well, that is really great because we just
Yeah.
got through with our 50th. So it was
Mhm.
just so exciting when you said, my mom and dad, that's their 50th wedding anniversary. So I just got
Mhm.
really excited. I got even more excited when you said y'all did it all
Yeah,
for
yeah,
her. And so
yeah. We all
that
had
was,
to put in because she said that's what she wanted. And,
yeah.
we all had dresses made. She had her dress, custom made and everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
A
And
special person to me.
yeah, Sister Deborah said we should always want to make our mothers feel special. And that's
Yes.
why we're having this show.
Yes.
Believe it or not, people are going to watch this and get ideas and get thoughts about how they can make their mothers feel special on Mother's Day. So,
Mhm.
um, anything else you want to share about your mom? Anything special saying she had coming up? Or did she discipline y'all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. In a heartbeat. And she'd say what she had to say, and you listen. Now they said it was different from me because I was younger.
Uh-huh.
I was the baby, so I kind of got away with more than
Oh, you and them mama's baby. You didn't get away with
yes,
everything, huh?
yeah. But my brother and sisters, yeah, they'll tell you, oh, we got this and we had to do this, and we were put outside sometime, because we were acting up. But I didn't get all that. But yeah,
Oh,
she
okay.
was a dip of my dad, and she did more. But when it got to a point where she thought we weren't listening to her, then she got my dad involved.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah,
once he got involved, that was it.
that was it.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was it. Wow. Well,
It's
I'm
just
going to come
listen,
back and ask each
listen,
one of
woman.
y'all too how they discipline, because now, and how do you think we should discipline today? So I'll be back with you in a minute because we want to talk about this discipline thing. It's a big thing, and I think now that because the way I discipline my kids when I first started having kids, it's different as I went down. Johnny and Lamory said my two younger ones got away with murder because. Well, it wasn't that. It was just that you learn a different way, a better way of doing things. Uh, so get you some ideas again. We want to share with some of these parents and grandparents how you think it's better to discipline now and how it's not good to discipline that way. Because when you know better, you do better, right? All right, who's the next mommy? Okay. Ooh, Miss Shannon right here. All right. Tell us about Miss Shannon. Look at the y'all all got those eyes.
Yeah, she was known in the neighborhood as Miss Florence.
Miss Florence.
Miss
Okay.
Florence, she was a neighborhood mom. If
Hmm.
you needed food to eat, she would feed you. If you needed shoes, and if she couldn't come up with the money for the shoes, she'd find somebody who had some shoes for you. And
Right.
she was not short on discipline either. Whoever you are, you came to her house, you were gonna be disciplined.
Okay.
You
I
know.
love it.
And I just remember that my mom would play with us, but we didn't play
Mhm.
with her.
Oh, okay. What you mean? What you mean by that? Talk about that for a minute. She
You
can play
know,
with you, but you can't play with her. Tell me about
that's
that.
right. It's just, that she would get out with us and be in the front yard because where we lived in the projects. And
Okay.
we had this big area in the front yard. And so that we played marbles. She'd do that with us. We jump rope. She'd do that. But we didn't play with her when it came to what she said. She meant what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you tried her, you might get a backhand.
Okay. So
Or
this is backhand mama.
yep, or whatever was in her hand.
Okay. I love it because and I think that's where that line comes in. Like sometimes mom and when you say for instance you're playing a card game and you might say something like this to your friend, now take that sucker, but you
Right,
don't say it to your mom.
right.
Or
And that's
she might will say that to you, but you better
yeah,
not turn around and try to up her one by saying something else.
uh-huh,
Because you got to always remember, quote unquote, your place
right.
and their place. And there's a difference. You cannot be equal. Do you think that you were your mom's best friend or
Oh no. Oh no. I was that was mom and dad. And when you were saying that, I thought about a time when, and I can see me right now standing in the hallway, meant no harm, and said, "Oh, mom, you so crazy."
what she say?
She had a curtain rod in her hand. Need I tell you anything else?
Yeah, you so crazy. And
Yeah,
that's a good example because you can't say stuff like that to your mom, even though we know you're trying to have fun, but there is a limit. Or you can't say, you so stupid, you know,
right, right.
yeah, even though
Yeah,
she may have done something stupid, you definitely wouldn't tell her to her face where she could hear you.
right. That's right. And don't mumble. Walking down the hallway mumbling,
Mhm.
something's coming at your head.
Wow. And we just knew better. We just knew better.
Yes.
And you didn't call her a liar. Tisha said
Oh,
that's a good one. Mama,
yeah,
you lying. You don't say that to your
that's
mom,
right. No,
even though she might not be telling the truth.
right.
You better keep your mouth shut. You don't call your mom a liar, even though you may say that to your friends. I think that's a good one,
Yeah.
uh, Tish, that you
Mhm,
don't call your mom a liar
mhm.
and those kind of things. And nowadays, people don't even think twice about it. They'll just do it. And I'm sitting there with my mouth open, like, did she just call her mama a liar?
Mhm.
And I think that is part of what spills over into the schools with the teachers. I was told this morning about a teacher who the children physically beat so bad, and
Right.
she had to go to the hospital.
Mhm.
There is no way we would ever do something. I mean, somebody maybe who had a mental problem,
Mm,
maybe
right.
they would, kick the teacher or push a desk over, but to gang up on her and send her to
Right.
the hospital. So, I don't know what they make these kids think that that was okay, but I have to go back to looking at the training. Who
Mhm.
said that was okay? And
Right.
when do we let kids get away with stuff till they feel like they could do something? Because I don't know about you guys, but we couldn't even act up at school because if the teacher called home and said,
That's right.
your child said this and that and this and that.
That's right.
Oh my goodness, we were begging the teachers, please don't call my house. Please,
Exactly.
please don't.
Because you got double what you got at school. Because
Right.
you could get the paddle in school then.
Exactly. Exactly. And even though, and we'll talk about that in a minute of the discipline part, because I grew up in the school with them doing paddling, and I don't approve of that now. But in the day,
Right.
that was what we needed, we got, and there was nothing said about it. But our schools are getting so different now, and I'm really
Right.
afraid not only for the families, but for our world. What kind of world are we building? That's why I'm talking so much about this to parents, because you got to back some things up here and say, wait a minute, what am I creating as a child? You want to be their best friend. You want to give them everything they need. You want to let them explain themselves
Mhm.
and say anything to you. But when they get on the job, they're gonna get fired.
Right.
Okay. When they
Exactly.
get on a car wreck, something, they're gonna get shot or killed or hurt. So it's like when we were growing up as Black kids, even though that people were wrong to us, our parents would tell them, keep your mouth shut.
Right.
Your goal is to get home tonight.
Right.
And some of these things that kids feel like they can say and do could cause them to lose in life. So I think that's part of the training that our mothers were trying to do, is to keep us in a point to where we could thrive and live and not have to have something harsh happen to us. So now tell me about this picture over here with your bad hat on. Ooh, that's a beautiful hat. And your mom over there, I thought she would have a hat, but you work. Is that you,
Well,
right?
my mom didn't really wear hats.
Oh, okay.
I just love hats. Just love wearing hats, but she didn't wear hats. Um,
Okay.
but this we had gone to church this Sunday. She had gotten to a point that she really wasn't getting around as well, and
Okay.
then I'd go get her and take her to church because she was at church every Sunday,
Hmm.
until she couldn't. And I used
Right.
to tease her and tell her that she was at Chairside Baptist being at home.
And they didn't have any Zoom and
No,
um, Facebook and so forth. And these people wanted to go home. We used to have a ministry to go by and pick up the elderly, so because they couldn't drive and whatever,
right.
to make sure that they could be in the church. And that means so much to
It
them. I know
does.
she really enjoyed you picking her up like that.
Yes, yes. We'd always when she go to church with me, I make sure I took her and got her something to eat, something that she really wanted. And like as she got older, my brother would think that she didn't need this and she didn't need that. I said she's 80 something. Whatever she wants, that's what she's gonna get.
Come on now.
You
Come
know,
on. I
just
think
make
that's a very good point.
yes.
Get her, I mean, 80 something years old, get her what she wants to eat. She's been living this long, so she must
Right.
be doing something right. Good,
Yeah.
good, good. All right, let's go on to who have I missed here? Let me give me this next beautiful mother. She is so pretty. Okay, we have next mother. Is that all of them? Oh, we do have another one. Okay. This is Mrs. Dorothy Calendar. Oh my goodness, look at that blue. And Shelley, is that your mom?
Yes, that is my beautiful mother,
Tell
Mrs.
us about
Dorothy
Miss
Winston.
Dorothy.
Yes, Miss Dorothy. Yes, that's what people back home where she was grew up. That's what they would call her, Miss Dorothy. Yes,
Because everybody, I don't care who you were. Somebody said, I'm Dorothy Chandler. And you said, how you doing, Miss Dorothy? You always put a handle on it. You
handle
didn't
on
just
it.
call a grown person Dorothy, because that's another thing about playing with mother. You may call your daddy by the first name, or hit your mother or a friend, but my mother would say, what did you just call her?
Right. Exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
call my friends by the name that I call them.
Right.
You
Exactly.
gotta put a handle on that.
Right. Get back in your place. I saw a video of Maya Angelou. She had given a speech somewhere, and
Okay.
a person in the audience asked her a question, and she started by saying, Maya, I just want to ask you a question.
I
And
saw
she
it.
said, what did you call me?
Mhm.
And so she said, I'm Miss Angelo to you.
Come on.
Yes, yes, she told her.
I saw that, and I kind of felt bad for the little girl, but I thought,
Yeah,
hey, she
right.
modeled for her, and she will never do that again. This was on a live broadcast,
Yes, it was. Yes,
and the
yes.
little girl just stopped. Maya, who do you think you are, calling an adult by their first name?
By
That's
that
one of the
person.
things that we do now, that we're not allowed to do. I don't care what home you came from.
Exactly.
And even the pastor, you couldn't call him John or Pastor John. You would have to say Pastor Ogletree. You would call him
Right.
Pastor John. A lot of
Yes,
these churches now gotten to where they call people by their first name.
by the
I
first.
don't like it. So tell us about Miss Dorothy here. She is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So, my mother was the first generation or first person in her family to graduate from college.
Okay.
And she grew up during the Depression. So during that time, she struggled. Her mother died when she was 9. So
Okay.
she was actually raised. My grandfather couldn't take care of my mother and her 3 sisters. So he let 3 of them go to live with their grandmother, and my mother went to go live with a family friend. So
Mhm.
she struggled a lot growing up. But one thing that she taught me was the power of education. And
Mhm.
just like everybody else has said, she did not play with school. We were
Mhm.
going to do that work. We were going to do it right. We used to all sit down at the table in the evening and do our homework together. My
Mhm.
parents made sure that it was done and it was done right. And I remember my mother would help me with school projects. And she would say, no, no, we're going to do that over. It's not quite right. We got to do that
Mhm.
again. And so she just taught me excellence.
Yes.
And she taught
And you are an educator, so she really relied
yes.
on education and you became a teacher.
Yeah, she taught me that. That's a legacy that she left me. And another thing she taught me was to um be able to take care of myself.
Mhm.
And I remember her saying, don't depend on a man to take care of you.
Mhm.
You'll be able to take care of yourself. Have
Wow.
a career so you don't have to be dependent.
Now, did you grow up with a father in the home?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Mhm.
did.
But
My
that, and
father.
I think that's so good news for a mother to tell her daughter, even though she's married, that
Mm-hmm.
hey, don't depend on a man. And now you are divorced, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how old your kids were when you got your divorce, but you have had to not depend on that husband
Yes.
forever. So
Yes.
what do you think that single mothers what kind of message do you give to them about discipline? Because sometimes when the man leaves or is dies or whatever the situation is, sometimes a mother is either overwhelmed by doing it
Yeah.
all by herself or wanting to make up for the fact that this happened. What kind of thoughts could you give about a mother for our single mothers today?
I would say that you still, even though there may not be a male in the home, that you have to teach them boundaries, like we were saying. You know,
Mhm,
they still need to respect you. You're the mother.
mhm,
Uh, you're not your children's friends. Teach
mhm,
them boundaries. Teach
mhm.
them the importance of respect for all elderly people, for your teachers. I think that goes a long way.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it starts with having them to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't respect the mother, then they're not going to respect the teacher and anybody else if the mother allows it. So I think that someone said in the chat earlier that you're really setting them up for success or
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
for failure if you don't
If you
teach them
don't.
how to respect and get along with people, and
Yes.
especially the people that are in control,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the teachers or even you. So I think that's a
Yes. Because I last week or a couple of weeks ago, we had some students to attack an assistant principal. She was trying to break up a fight at a school,
yeah, that's
and
the
the
one I was
students,
talking about. That's right, it was assistant principal.
yes, the students started attacking the principal. But if they had respect for
Mhm.
themselves and for their mother and for people in
Exactly.
authority, they would have never done that.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So, and that's what I was talking about. I said teacher, but it was really assistant principal. I remember
Mm-hmm.
that now. But
Mm-hmm.
you said something just now too, that discipline and training teaches them to respect themselves first.
Yes.
So, as a girl or boy on, fighting and be, you don't respect yourself.
Right.
And when you think about who you are and whatever, that's you. Is that
Mm-hmm.
you? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
respect yourself first, respect your mother and father. And this is all biblical stuff that we need to be training. And so I think, do you find rather you're a younger mom than I am, I think, or not that much younger, but
Not
you
that much.
are. I'm trying to figure out who the youngest mother is on here. Um, but I think Tish, and she's I'm gonna get see the comments that she has because she's a single mom too, and I don't know if she's commenting just in the chat or if she wants to come on and say something. But she would be the youngest mother on here, and I think my heart goes out to these younger mothers because they got to deal with the internet and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and. Nowadays I heard a situation where this mother found out that her son was having an Uber come to the house in the middle of the night and pick them up and take them wherever they wanted to go. The mother and
What?
dad sleep. Yeah. You just call the Uber. All you gotta do is put a count on there. We got debit cards for our kids, and they just give the person debit card
Mm,
or use
mm,
theirs
mm.
and come and get at
The
your own
child.
risk. And pick them up, take them somewhere, and bring them back before you wake up.
Mm, mm, mm.
So, I mean, what kind of mindset? I wouldn't even thought about doing
That
that.
is scary. That is so scary.
Yeah. We would
Yeah,
run away. I think about running away. We don't know where to go,
right. But not Ubering from one
not
location to
Ubering
another.
while our
But then
parents
they
are
have the
asleep.
money though. So
Come on. Who gave them
why would
money?
they have money to be able to do that?
Well, see, that's
That's
why I asked the question about, do you think we should give our kids everything? Do they need the cell phone? Do they need a bank account? Do they need
mm-mm,
cash money on them all the time? Are we
mm-mm.
giving them too much?
I think we are giving them too much. Definitely. I would not if my children, if I had to do it all over again, but my children didn't get cell phones until they were in my daughters didn't get phones until they were in high school.
Mm, mm, mm.
It would be hard to do that now. That was
Yeah.
back in the
I
early
know. And the
2000s.
fact is do they need that? And what gets me with these parents, and I'm gonna get on the parents for a minute because I don't think I would be like that. But we get them the best. We want to get them the best sound phone that does. It's not
Right.
just like a little what we got, the flip phone.
Right. Yeah.
They got to get one that does everything. And then
Everything.
who was it the other day? A child lost his life over a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we setting them up for failure? I see Danielle on here. Danielle said, I'm 35. So, Danielle, I wish you could put something in the chat about parenting because I know you've got a young one and younger than any of us on here. So, what do you think? Let's talk about discipline, y'all. Did I get all the mothers? Let me make sure I got all the mothers first.
You
Um,
did. Yes.
okay. All right. Thank you all so much. So, let's talk about discipline before we get out of here because I think that's the key. The Bible says about children, to the parents to train them up. And in
Mm-hmm.
that training up, I think it's love, definitely love.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's when I think about a trainer, bodybuilder, you gotta sweat. It's not easy.
Right.
It's not a fun thing. We going out to hang out or whatever. It is exercising some boundaries and some rules and discipline. So let me just ask each one of y'all now, because I know, just tell me this real quickly without a lot of comments, because we got a lot of questions. When you were, well, I'm gonna start off. When I was a young parent, I disciplined my children the way I knew. So my mom would get a belt or a switch. And if you did something wrong, you might get a look or you might get a one little warning, but ultimately she was going to whoop your behind. And I even saw people in my neighborhood that went beyond the belt and the switch. They had razor straps and
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
shoes and whatever else they could find, water hoses. I saw a girl get beat one time in the project with a water hose.
Mm,
So that's stuff that I would say that's old timey. I don't think we should do that anymore the way I did it, but I
mm.
did the best I knew how to do at that time because that's all I knew.
Right.
So what do y'all think about how you were disciplined? How were you disciplined? And I was at home with a single mom. So she didn't have a husband to help be the heavy. So we did get, I'm not gonna call them spankings because they were whoopings,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I don't agree with that now. I think that
Right.
there are other ways that you can do, but I think my number one way, let me just say this, my number one way is to withhold privileges.
Yes.
So if my child is disrespecting me, they're not going to be watching my TV. They're not
mhm.
going to be talking on my cell phone.
Right.
They're not going to get money to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them some clean underwear, and decent clothes. And that's going to be it. Oh, it's Tish. Okay, Tish, let's talk about it. You the youngest parent on here. Let's talk about it. Do you want to share anything with your mom's picture or anything you want to share? I hope I didn't miss that.
Oh no, it's okay. I didn't have pictures
Okay.
in the slideshow, but the boundaries thing, that is number one
Mhm,
because as a single mother, you have you have to you have to do everything. So
mhm,
you can't say, well, your dad's going to go with you to do that. You have a show, your dad can go with you to that. And I have to do everything.
mhm,
And I agree with you about the privileges. I find what my children love.
Mhm.
And once they do something that I don't care for, that's not right, I take it away from them. They die. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
they literally die. You don't got to whoop them. I
Yeah.
promise you, you don't have to.
Mm-mm.
You don't have to spank them or anything like that. And you have to as a single mother, you're by yourself with keeping their self-confidence up.
Mhm.
Making sure that they take care of themselves to go out in this world, because I did put a comment in there: when you don't discipline your children, you leave it up to the world. And that's when you see those crazy videos on social media with these
Mhm.
kids acting crazy, or somebody beating up your child because you didn't prepare them to leave the house with the right attitude.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I
You
agree.
know, the other thing too about social media, let me just ask y'all this real quickly. How old do you think a child needs to be on social media to have a Facebook account?
Grown.
15.
I would say, yeah, 15 or 16.
Because they don't know
I would
better
say
before
15 or
then. They don't
16.
have the mind
Yeah,
to,
because the influence is so
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's too much. It's
Yeah.
too, they can't handle it.
They
All right,
can't
Sister
take
And
Deborah,
anything.
it's
grandmother
just
over here, what age you think?
Me,
Uh-huh.
16.
16. Okay. So that's good. All right. Danielle says that my son is 9. I believe my son has the intellect to understand and reason. I give clear directions and I expect him um, to respond. I'm more interested in him knowing why than him being afraid of me. However, I'm not afraid to pop. Some things don't need an explanation. And if I have to get my point across with a pop and a punishment, God approves. I agree with you. Now, let me just say this. I don't believe in the whipping and leaving the marks and knocking them beside the head and calling them
Mhm.
names. I don't believe
right.
in that.
No, that's
And
not, yeah, that's no
that's
dis
not good. That's not
that's
what God's
abuse.
talking about.
Right.
Now, when they're little like that, I do believe in a pop. Because,
Yes.
Hmm.
for my little grandbabies and my kids, the Ogletree children, I don't know about everybody else, you can talk all you want to,
Right.
and they're gonna do what they want to do. So
Yep.
when they're little, you can't even take away a toy. I mean, you
Right.
take it away, they just scream and holler, and
Hmm.
so they don't quite understand the taking
Right.
away. So I think in that age, as sometimes the timeout is good, but I think you need to. I believe in popping, and the pop is just. I said no, don't do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. It's
Mhm.
like getting their attention.
You got to get their attention.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? What do you think is a good a pop? Do y'all give pops?
I did
Yeah,
when
I
they
did.
were little, yeah.
Hmm.
And as they got older, because again, I raised mine by myself.
Hmm.
From I think my oldest one's like 10, and she's
Hmm.
35 now. But they
Yeah.
understood, and I gave them everything, but they understood that I will take it from you,
Yeah.
and I don't have to give you this. And they knew if they act up,
Hmm.
they were going to
But
get it. I
I
went to school all the time. I went to the school to check up on them. In high
yeah,
school, I
you
would.
got to be involved. And I
Hmm.
think that's
Mhm,
another big point is be involved in your children in what they're doing, their
mhm,
friends, who they have. There
exactly.
was certain friends I told my kids, nope, you can't have. Sorry about that one. You're not going to be able to have that one.
Hmm.
Um, So Marshall Washington says my mom would just be getting out of jail for child abuse at 87. He says whatever she could find to beat your behind. I love and respect her today. She said, "Don't mess out of me," and I have done that too. I don't do it anymore, but I have picked up something and thrown stuff at my kids because I had 4 of them. And
Hmm.
in my house, I was determined I was going to control the situation. My kids were not going to control me. And
Right.
I
Mhm.
think part of that is growing up in the project fighting. It's like, okay, I'll be doggone if I'm gonna fight my kids in my own house.
Right. Right.
And there are some children who fight their own parents.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Ooh,
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that's because they don't establish that discipline. Between the ages of 2 and 4, you have to be repeating yourself over
Yeah.
and over and over again, because they will hit you. They will try it.
oh yeah,
It's
they'll try
natural
it.
for them.
And I
They'll
don't
try
think
it.
that's cute. Yeah. And parents say, "Oh, it's so cute. Look what they did.
Mm-mm,
Oh,
that's
Yeah.
that's
not
so,
cute.
oh, that is not cute."
That
Yeah.
is not
Did you
cute.
just hit mommy? Oh no, that's
Oh,
not cute. I'm not gonna ask you questions. And the
Mm.
kid look at them like, yeah, I did. I'm gonna hit you again. I think, uh, and the only time like I said, you pop them to get their attention, and you take them away from the situation and sit them in timeout. I remember the first time I popped Jordy, and I was like, oh my God, he's not going to come to here anymore. My mom, the kids not going to appreciate because I didn't know if they were popping or not. but he kicked me,
Mm,
and I said, "Oh, did you just kick Nana?" Oh no, pop! I don't slap him or anything. Like I popped him on his leg,
mm-hmm,
and I put him in that chair, and I said, "Don't you ever kick Nana? If you kick Nana, you're gonna be in big trouble." And
mm-hmm.
so that was last year. I think he was like 2. And so even though he could not articulate well, he knew
He knew.
his kids are trying you. And he
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
got to learn that you might kick your little friend if they take your toy, but you better not kick me.
Right.
So anyway, so I think that we all agree upon that we grew up a certain way being punished, but the new way is not good. Number one, you can go to jail and lose your kids if you're
Mhm.
slapping them around
Right.
and
Mhm.
things that we had saw done that we thought wasn't so bad. You slap a kid now and you could be going to jail. I had a
Mhm.
person several
CPS.
years ago we were counseling with. He was choking his son because his son got out of control, and he was
Wow.
like a man, but he was like 15, I guess, or whatever. I said, Blank, I said, you cannot be choking that child. You will go to jail. I don't care. I said, no, no, no. You need to back up and say, let me cool off. But you cannot choke your child
Mhm.
because at that
Mm-hmm.
age they can file charges against you, and you could not only lose your child, you could go to jail.
And
So
that's
Mm-hmm.
excessive force. I mean, that's doing harm. I mean, you're really in a good mindset when you're trying to discipline your child. Like, I did pop my child when she was younger, but then we had a pandemic. And so
my goodness.
she was just doing whatever she thought was okay. But I didn't, I made a decision not to pop my child during
Mhm.
the pandemic because I didn't want her to have some type of PTSD. She was stuck in the house, she couldn't leave. And I just thought that would develop into something really bad. But luckily, she's not a bad child. But some parents really need to think about that. And in
Yeah.
my house, you cannot whoop my child if you're mad because you're
Right.
not about to use excessive force. You're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
wait. You're going to
Mhm.
get this whooping or you're going
Yeah.
to get this popping, but you're going to have to wait and not be mad so you're
Cool
not
off.
giving excessive force. Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
that's a very good point. And the other thing I wanted to just say is to discipline your child. I think number one starts from what you're teaching that child about how you respond to them, and this giving a child all the things they want. I don't think that's a good idea. You give
Mm-hmm.
them what they need. They don't have any place to even want for anything because you've given them everything for
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, everything for their birthday, all of these big things. And then you get to teach them about it's all about me. And you raise them to think about, oh, mama's going to do this, and mama's obligated to do this. And, oh, and grandmother, she's going to do this, and she going to do that. You're teaching them, I believe, these things of it's all about me when you do those kind of things. So I said, number one, I would say is stop buying them so much. If they
Yeah.
have a birthday, get them one gift.
Right.
Christmas, and I really blew that one. I would always try to, what all do y'all want? Give me a list. And I'm going all over the world trying to fill that list.
Mm-hmm.
No, they need to be able to get one or two things.
One or two or three. I used to tell my kids 3 things. You can have
Yeah,
three
three
things.
things. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really, I mean, and if you look at it, they after Christmas is over, they don't appreciate it. They got it
No, they
all
don't.
over here. And so then you trying to pay the credit card off, but you've gone over trying to make this big Christmas for them, make this big birthday. What
Right.
children need, especially when they're young, is you.
Right.
They need your training, your teaching, and give them something to respect and to appreciate. They can appreciate that one doll. Y'all remember Chatty Cathy? Okay. We didn't get a whole bunch of dolls, but you did get one big item, and you may have gotten another one and something to go in your stocking. But you didn't have no 4 or 5. You got the computer, and you got the phone, and you got the what do you call them shoes?
Xbox,
The
PlayStation,
Xbox and the Michael Jordans, and you
and
got
his
all
tennis
that stuff.
shoes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just for one day.
Right.
What are you teaching the kids? So that's number one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because children have to learn that they got to work for things, and that
Right.
stuff just doesn't come.
Didn't
You know,
appear.
it doesn't appear.
Right.
And then what you raise is you start to raise entitled children
Yes.
Right.
who see you as a cash cow,
Mhm.
who see
Mm-hmm.
you as somebody who gives, gives, gives. And
Right.
then when it's time for them to give,
They don't
what do
want
you
to give.
mean give something to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be giving to me. That's
Right.
not
That's
what
where
we
that money don't grow on trees statement comes from because
Yeah.
they don't consider how you make your money, how hard you work to make your money. They just think it's going to come easy because you give it to them so easy.
You do
Mhm.
and do. And they don't know the bills you're having to pay. And some people are trying to stay in their houses and apartments because they've done Christmas so big for the kids. Let me give
Right.
you this other one too. And I want your, because I had this one. I had a little boy in my classroom. He's a little redheaded boy. And, at that day when we were transitioning from the spanking to that. So I had a little rule in the class. I would pop him, whatever, because he was really a little terror. And so his mom said, well, let's work together and see if we can do something different, because she was a little white mom, and I'm a black mama. So, but she was, back then it was okay to give them a pop. You couldn't, you send them to the office for the board, but a pop was not something the teacher couldn't do. But anyway, so what we agreed, because his behavior was not getting better. So
Mm.
this is something that she and I agreed to do, and it worked. She said, I'm going to take everything out of his room except for a bed.
Mm.
And he has to earn it back. The TV he has to earn back. And that means if he's got the whole week with being on green, he can get the TV back. So you think about that training, that teaching. She said, okay, then he wants the Xbox back. The next week, if you have 2 weeks on green, she will put that up there and put it as a goal for him. And so, that's what worked. So this child she literally heard her husband move everything out except for his bed. And he didn't have, even most of
Mm.
his clothes, they moved out. And he had to earn those things back.
Wow.
By the end of the
That
year,
was good.
he was a good little kid. And I saw his mother years later and she thanked me for that. But that
Hmm.
taught me something too.
That
Take
was
away
good.
privileges, find out what
Right.
they first, don't give them too much in the first place, because
In the
their
first
mindset
place.
would be one that's out of order. And then next two, if you do give them something that they really want, find out what it is and take it
Hmm.
away.
Take it away. Yep.
More than one
Yep.
day. Anybody else have anything to say on that real quickly?
I just want to say this is back to discipline. I remember one time, I think I may have been about 10. I was mad at my mom and I ran
Oh.
in the house. We had gotten home. I ran in the house, ran upstairs, but I locked the door.
Ooh.
And she had, I think I must have locked the storm door that didn't have a key. Baby, when
You locked the door on your mom out
I
of
locked the
her
door, I thought I was big and bad, honey. And she waited. She didn't, she didn't spank me right away. She waited. But when I heard her coming up those stairs, I was like, oh Lord, I'm gonna get it
mouth.
now.
Oh, Lord
That was
Jesus,
one
help me.
that was one whipping I never will forget. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
wish
had,
we would have talked about this earlier, but
go ahead.
we needed to express that we are black moms and
Okay.
our children have friends that are other races and they get away with more. And
Yeah.
I've defined myself lately saying you have a black mama.
Okay.
Right.
I've said that
I
before.
don't differentiate between the mothers, but I let her know specifically you got a black mama. And
Yeah,
Right.
I do things much differently
right.
Yeah.
than your other friends.
Yeah. We have
Exactly.
to
Don't
train
come
our
telling me what
children
so and so
differently.
does in their house,
Right.
Yeah.
and they don't even
Because
have
the
to face the
world
same
treats them
things
different.
that in the world that
Yes.
children have to face. So we know what we're doing with our kids.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
Shelley, do you have something else to say? Look like we're
Like
about.
you just said, I was just saying the world treats us differently. So we have to train them differently. The
Yeah.
things that
Oh my God.
they
Now
get
this
away
is
with, we not gonna
something.
get away with. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why, yeah.
Exactly. So we really have so many good interactions here, guys. It's really great. Well, next Sunday is Mother's Day, and we will have something special for you next week. But on Saturday, one of my favorite things to do is to have a Mother's Day brunch. We used to have at the church a Mother's Day brunch where we would go to a hotel and people would buy their tickets and we had to do nothing. That's why we stopped cooking so much, because we felt like we needed to be honored, not by people to come over to our house. But I really, really, really miss those days when we all went to Big Mama's house or grandmother's house. And I think if we could get back to that, I think that would be a really great thing for the family. But I think that one idea, I'm sorry, we're going over, but I'm gonna tell you this one idea that I had was that I saw that, and it was an African family, and she said every year they rent out a ballroom, and she said the men do all the cooking, the men do the entertaining, the men do the serving, and the women, the mother-in-law, the auntie, every woman in their quote unquote group, they celebrate them. They have a gift for them. And I say, you know what? If we could do that, because sometimes when you go to the restaurants, they want the food is not good. Your kids can't really play and enjoy. You can't talk. And so I think, one of the ideas I had, and we had so many to share, guys, we could probably do another show on this. But one of the ideas I had was if the men would just come together, put the money together, get it catered, cook it, whatever, but do entertain us to plan. That's why I said start planning to have for your mother to have a happy Mother's Day. Don't take the easy right out and just go by the store and get a gift card and a card. That's the easy way out. And we do like gift cards. I'm not saying anything about that. But I think we need to think a little bit more about coming back together as a family. And I think because we're trading our children that this is how we celebrate Mother's Day. This is how we honor Mother's Day. Mima is the oldest one, so we're not going to have her at a restaurant. We're going to come over to her house and bring everything and set it up so she doesn't have to worry about anything. So anyway, read the chat, put more ideas in the chat, guys. We just kind of ran out of time. And I just want to say happy Mother's Day to all of you. We love you. Thank you so much for the job you do. And listen, make sure that your mother has a happy Mother's Day. Go plan something special. Do something special with her. And come see us at First Met. We have a wonderful, wonderful gift for our mothers that worship on Sundays. We honor them. So listen, we're out. We went over our time. Sorry about that. But this is Lady O saying thank you for coming to the show. Spread the word and go out and love on a woman and appreciate her as a woman who is worthy because she is the mother of this world. Love you guys. See you next week at 3 for Tea with Lady O.